Hey, Donnie. If you don't mind me calling you Donnie for short. Donnie or Don Maxwell, welcome back. So, Donald, I was just looking at the trip. I was just looking at it, and from it's like it's under 200 miles from here to Lithia Springs. And that's given a little room to stop quite a few little places along the way. Um, Figure 20 miles a day on the best day. But I like to say if you're sailing, it's more like 10, 12, maybe 15 miles a day. Depends on the wind and all that. I don't know, man. 20 miles motoring nonstop all day. And let me see. I don't travel on the weekends, so that gives me at the best 5 days a week, and it's generally like 4.5 because Friday afternoon is shit show, and then all weekend long is a shit show, and then the weekend warriors go away, and then it's just dependent on the weather. What, trip to Tampa? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Look, I don't even know my mods very well, to be honest. I'm just new doing YouTube, and I started getting trolled so much that I gave a couple people admin, and one of them kind of makes me wonder at times. But I don't know. He ain't deciding. Neither of them are deciding. Nobody else is deciding what I do. No, I plan on going up there either way. Like I've been planning that the whole. That's been since last year. I've been planning that trip. No, I'm sticking around here just because this is the safest place for my type of vessel in my area, where I can get supplies and avoid the roughest weather. We're in the middle of storm season. From here till the middle of October is rainy and stormy damn near every day, and hot and sweltery and snake and bug infested and gator infested, and like, it's just not the greatest time to go cruising. And it is good when the weather does break. It's nice to be near a spot where you go out to an island and like do some swimming in some clear water. But yeah, I don't know. The thing I think would be to get, like, even if I say you got a vessel that carried all your gear for camping, we could actually take this canoe and rig it, and then switch and use yours as the dinghy, whatever. This boat generally gets to where I need to get in most places, so I don't really need a canoe per se. Like, I had another dude traveling in that canoe. But the reason I never rigged it for sailing with him is because he couldn't even paddle it across the river. There's no way he would have been able to manage sails. No, Maxwell. Although I have before. I mean, I'm not casting off right now. I don't have, my boat isn't, shit, I'm too much of a mess. I got a week worth of prep to do. I got to clean up a bunch of stuff, get rid of some weight, and any scraps I'm not keeping. And I got a bunch of, man, that's the problem. I'm not ready to take on a person and all their gear. And I'm not ready to get rid of all this stuff because I'm not done deciding what pieces I'm going to keep. I'm still in the upgrading phase. But to be honest, it wouldn't take but, I don't know, if I used probably a few tubes of silicone around the base of these boards, and then, I don't know, move the battery forward, and then get rid of some weight and balance it. Yeah, no, the thing is, I'm trying to figure out how to get you in a boat that's in the same class. So we're both sailing. The trip is to try to do it with as little fuel as possible. Like, you plan the trip with the money and fuel as though you're going to motor the whole way and not get any wind. And then every day that the wind is with you is a day that you subtract that day's fuel off the fuel, like consumption. And that just means, okay, we got a little further without stopping for fuel. You see what I'm getting at? And the problem is, the more you sail, the longer it takes, the more food you eat. So that's where the fishing comes in. When you're sailing, somebody's got a fishing line out. Okay, the sailing rig's pretty crucial if you're going to be in a canoe, because that's about the only vessel you can really quickly and easily rig that you could actually sleep in at anchor. And without the rigging, you don't really have anything to put a tent over to make a tarp. Once you put a mast and boom and some stays on it, you have some stuff to drape a tarp over that's above head. And you can actually sit up in there, watch TV, and then no FW. You can, hell, if you got a battery and solar, I ran in that canoe for a while like that with a 130 amp hour deep cycle battery and a 50-watt solar panel. Got a little wave-point modulator, and I had enough power to charge my phone and keep lights. That's another thing, you gotta be able to keep lights running all night, every night without fail. So that means having a power supply. Now, I got 150 watts on this boat, but I ran on that one with just 50. I wasn't running a bunch of fans though. Like I said, you save a lot of money in winter on, electricity. I don't know, yeah, you kind of want to make it modular, but okay, here's the problem. This canoe, I wouldn't want to camp out in it without, what I would do is I would go along the sides and put a 1x2 furring strip and screw it through the fiberglass directly underneath, just kind of butt up against the aluminum there, all the way around the boat, from point to point. Screw them together at the points. And that give me And then do the same thing on the inside. So you got screws going from the outside through into it, through a 1x2, through the fiberglass, underneath that, through the aluminum lip there, and then through the other side, through the fiberglass, aluminum, and then into the other 1x2. And you got screws going through that from both sides. All right. Well, listen to what I'm getting at. Once you've got that furring strip all the way around and screwed to the whole rim all the way around from both sides, inside and out, then you can take a 1x6 and attach it, like a 16-foot 1x6, attach it at a corner and bow it all the way down to the end on each side and raise the gunnels another 6 inches. Okay? Then you want to put a deck across that, right in the middle. What you want to do is you want to sit in the back seat and then put a pillow behind you and sit in the floor. Put a few cushions under you and behind you so you can lean against the seat. And you want to look at, okay, how do I fit in here? Where do I sit up and want a little deck where I could sit my phone or my stove or whatever I'm working with at the time, where I could be sitting on my ass. And then you want to be able to lay down under that deck and roll over without your hip hitting the bottom of that deck. All right? And that's why that 6-inch addition to the height all the way around. But even more importantly, that deck gives you something to mount a mast to the middle. So you get a mast and boom going, and then you set the boom just to where you can sit in the captain's seat and just, it would really, when you tack, that boom would be low enough to hit you, but you just pick it up and put it over your head. It's not a heavy sail, so it's no big deal. It's manageable. But you want the boom to stick out past the back of the canoe. And you want some little type of bowsprit on the front so that you can get something from, you want a cord from the top of your mast to the bow, and then a cord from the top of the mast to each outrigger, and one to the back. Okay, and that needs to go, the boom needs, I like to make the boom to where it's just short of that cord. And I kind of use that back stay and the front stay as to wrap the tarp around too. So it'll go over the boom and then around the back stay. And basically you're just making a little A-frame tent, and then you put another tarp over the front stay and wrap it across the top of in front of the back stay. So rain hits it and just kind of drips onto the back tarp, and you're out of the rain, but you can sit up in there. Now once you have stabilizers on there, the next thing you want to do is put some kind of canopy over where you sit and mount you a solar panel on that for shade, because you don't want to be out there sailing and you want the solar. Okay, if you got a solar panel, you can either mount it to the front deck and just use it as kind of like a hatch to cover the front of the canoe. Helps keep rain out, keep it down low. But you always got to lift it up, and you got to risk things hitting it, getting dropped on it. You lift it up as like a hatch cover, put your stuff under it. That keeps you low and less windage. So that's probably the best bet, and your boom doesn't hit it and break it. That's probably the easiest way to work it, is to just have the solar panel in the front, covering the front opening where a passenger would be. You get your little battery box and a little waypoint modulator for like 20 bucks. Solar panels maybe 80, 100 bucks. WPM is like your voltage regulator, and then you get your little battery to hook to that. Then you go to the auto parts store and get one of those little sockets you can wire in to plug in a USB cord to, or two. A little two-way 3 amp 12 volt USB sockets to plug your phone and lamps and all that shit. And then you might want a panel of switches to be wired in under the deck. Keep it in a dry spot up high, but underneath the deck out of the rain. No, I'm not sure I know what you're talking about, but um, yeah, anything around 15 feet that you can rig easily. Now you're not going to need to carry as much weight as me. You don't need to motor, because if we're motoring, you just tie along behind me and I'll tow you. That's not a big deal, you know. And that way we don't need two boats carrying fuel. You just need to be able to carry like 12 gallons of water for drinking, and a little stove fuel for cooking, little makeshift camp stove. Like I described a couple different ways of making a camp stove, but I've used empty coffee cans and a freaking can opener to punch some holes in a can and made a stove. It's like not that. You just need something you can sit a pot on top of that'll breathe for fire under it. No, I wouldn't mess with a trolling motor either, because I mean, that's what I'm saying. If either of us need to motor, just tie off alongside or behind, and we'll just tow along off of my motor. It'll pull all three. It'll pull me and two canoes, no problem. It's that way we're not like trying to carry as much fuel, and there's not one of us trying to keep up with the other. If we're both sailing, I just killed the motor, and if some point the wind's wrong, I can grab your bow line. I can just motor over to you, grab your bow line. I fire up my motor, come over, grab your bow line, pull us down upwind wherever we need to be, and let you go, and toss your bow line back, and we continue on sailing. Like sometimes you got to go around a corner, and the angle of attack on your wind changes, and it's just a little bit much to try to sail it, and but you get around that corner and you're fine again. That's what the motor's for. It's just those little instances. Or, oh shit, let's just get up that creek where we're going against the current. You don't want to fight it. You could paddle against it, but damn, man. just tow up it. Like, even once, like, say we go up in the Alafia River, you get wind coming from the north or the south, and you can sail all the way up that river past both highways, and you wouldn't need a tow until like the last 5 miles to get to the spring. It's just, and then coming back, you'd just cruise the current back. You wouldn't need a tow for any of that. Just steer and probably sail most of the way too. So yeah, it's we don't want to do the kind of the point of this is to prove that if someone has no budget and just a lot of scavenging skills, and like do this with stuff that you could do without money. But it doesn't mean you can't go buy some money to make a few things. Like power is crucial. You're gonna have to spend some money on a power system. Electricity is the big thing. It's really not a motor, believe it or not. It's electricity, because you have to be able to communicate, navigate, but more importantly even than that is run lights and check weather, keep a float plan with people on land, all that shit. There's kind of no point of doing the trip if we can't get some film done and uploaded to the internet, so there's that too. But even if you had some problem with the lights, that's the reason for two boats. Redundancy. I got two waypoint modulators, two separate battery banks. If your lights malfunction, you just tie alongside me, and you're covered under my lights for the night until we fix it. Like having two vessels is really like double safe. But yeah, this should be no problem. I've done I've already done over 500. Shit, man, actually done closer to 1,000 miles in this vessel already. But as the motor goes. But if you just like mark it point to point down the river and don't include all the stops and turnarounds and windy stuffs I did, then exploration, it's really just measured out to about 500 miles. So I've pretty much motored and explored twice the distance I've actually traveled. But man, I'll tell you what. I went ahead and I got that video uploaded and edited the back end of it off, and there's some good content on it, man. There's just some really good shit. So I was glad I was able to do that, and then just deleted the original. Yeah, I mean, I was playing it back and thinking, man, I can't delete this. It's got all this shit about how to improv a stove and, how to set up the canoe and make it run. And then it's got both of the gators going through it. Oh, I had another one of those gators come through today again. Wasn't streaming. Might get another one this evening, you never know. What do you mean? Don't want anyone going slow-mo frame by frame? Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I didn't show any, like, dangly bits. Yeah, I still didn't show any dangly bits. There was only one frame in it where I was really just like cupping my junk. How do you get gnats? Well, you get rid of the whatever's rotten in the house. Gnats and fruit flies don't come in the house unless there's some rotten fruit in the house, or something in the drain or something. If there's something rotting that they're going after. Yeah, man, it was hot as hell. I'm telling you, dude. I was just trying to stay cool mostly and freaking really wasn't even doing anything but just sitting there trying to stay cool and like, whoa. Um, but keeping my skivvies on at least now. Yeah, I'd say just put some sugar water in a jar and they fly in it, get wet, and can't crawl out. They just get stuck in the water at the bottom. But the thing is, you can trap all those fruit flies to get rid of them, but there's just more are gonna come if you don't figure out what they're in the house after. Like clean the sink drain or something, man. Is the sink, the garbage disposal not working, or is there compost in the kitchen, or like what is up? because they're usually going after some kind of composting vegetation. Yeah, you got bananas or fruit on the table or any of that shit they can get to. Oh, yeah. Oh man, I think it's a chili mac night. There's gonna be a night of chili and mac and cheese. No, actually, I went to shore and the dude had other shit that. Oh, he forgot he's got to take his son to probation. I didn't know his son was on probation, but hey, I can't talk shit. I've been there a couple times. Yeah, I definitely don't want to forget that. No, I went through that, and I'm telling you, I was not a good candidate for probation. I did it a few times, and I would get most of the stipulations of the probation completed, and then wouldn't. And then sometimes I just straight up didn't have the money, and just like, I'm just like, just got out of jail, no job, no place to stay, nowhere, like, how am I going to go pay probation? And it was like, what are you going to do? And then finally I was just like, man, they always wanted to put me back on it, no matter how much I violated. They always want to put me back on probation. And one day the state was trying to put me back on probation. I just skipped around the state and my public pretender and was like, hey, Your Honor, I want to, because they were like, well, if there's no objections from the defense, and my defense attorney was like, nah, no objections here. And I was like, Your Honor, I'd like to object to that. And they're like, what? And I was like, if you look, based on previous record, I'm really not a very good candidate for it. Like, I usually don't get through it. If there's any time any way I could just, like, do the time and be done. The judge was like, okay. All right, fine. And he was like, and then he looked at the 2 times I had already been arrested on it. And he was like, you know what? He's like, you've already done enough time. About time served. It's like, yeah, that's even better. It's like, already been arrested the first time and like was waiting 3 weeks for my hearing. And then, like the next time I got arrested on the violation, I'm waiting, like a month. And so it's like, I'd already been there 2 months overall. And he's like, shit. Just give him time served. And the state really couldn't say nothing because the judge was just saying it. You're curious, both won't ask. Oh, yeah, I don't remember what that was. It was, dude, I never did any major shit. Like, I never harmed anyone, nothing violent. I mean, I've gotten some fights, but I never had any violent crimes, you know. Like, it was just like driving on a suspended license or shit like that most times. That or just got caught up in some shit that somebody else was doing and I had to happen to be there or whatever, you know. There's a couple times when shit like that went down. But yeah, I don't do anything to get in trouble, and I'm just way more cautious now of who I hang around because of those times. You know, it's like, damn. Sheep clips, yeah. Yesterday's live feed showed them. If you look at the last video I uploaded, it was right here in the same cove, and there was 2 good sized gators came through here, or a little one and like a 10-footer, 8-10-footer, something like that. I'm guessing the big one that went through quick was about 8 feet, and the other one was probably like 3 feet. It was just a baby. All right. Yeah, what country are you from? Sheep clips. Where do they have sheep and no gators? Well, I'm guessing over in Europe somewhere. Ireland, yeah, definitely no gators in Ireland. A little too cold for them up there. Sax Bolt, welcome back, I think. So we're just plotting next winter's trip, sailing journey, and so far we got like we're looking at 200 miles to Lithia Springs, give or take. And man, let me tell you what, that's a beautiful spot up there. It's a beautiful spot. You can't go up into the spring itself with the boat, but you can. It's not very far around the corner from where you can go up to it. You know, like you can bring a boat pretty dang close. And man, it's a beautiful blue, deep blue spring. There's another island about halfway up the river too that I haven't been in years, but I used to go camp out on it all the time. I'm pretty sure it's still just open for the public and just an ideal spot to pull off and spend a night doing some fishing, and especially wintertime, it's a great spot. There's some real good fishing in that area. Let me get the stove going. Boil some noodles. No, boil some water first. Ooh. With the alcohol stove, you really want to be sure to get the water boiling, boiling before, and in fact, get a little oil in there too. Before you put any noodles in it, make sure it's roiling at a full boil. Because, you know, you're going to drop the noodles in there. And it's not electric, it's not compressed gas, it's alcohol, so it's going to take a little bit to get it back up to temperature. That's another thing. You really need a pot with a lid on it. And I don't keep a strainer. I just used the lid as, you know, to strain the noodles. Just kind of crack the edge of it a little bit and hold it tight to the pan and let the water strain out, and it works. St. Pete, yeah, I'm at least 100 and, yeah, about it. Like I said, 140 miles, 150 to Lithia Springs. And Lithia Springs is across the bay from St. Pete and further north. And then up inland. So, yeah, it's like 4, 5, 6 miles inland. Maybe 10. I don't know. I don't remember. I was just looking on the map. I should remember. I was just doing a point to point and see just, you know, how many miles as a bird swims from here to there. But yeah, I wouldn't mind going up that way. Like, instead of coming right up the bay right away, it would be fun to maybe go up towards Tarpon Springs and check out that area a little bit. What do you call it? John's Pass. Man, I'll tell you what, I know some awesome fishing over there at John's Pass. You don't want to paddle or sail through that pass, but we could boat over to it and get out of the boats and walk on land to that bridge and do some badass fishing. Been to Miami? Okay. My second video I uploaded was stingrays that I recorded at the sandbar over there at Haulover Inlet. I used to be a boat captain on the rental boats over there at Haulover. That guy's gotta go. I don't think my rules are complicated. I don't put no racism on my rules. I just put be kind because I think that covers it and a lot more. And it's like, dude, you're hitting on the racism and the freaking ripping someone off, and nah, you're trolling too. Go away. We're here to enjoy the swamp view. Welcome back, Randy. Or Random. The gators are being shy. Maybe I'm not cooking any raw meat out here. Could have something to do with that. Yep. Susan, welcome back. Thank you, Cece. You're just getting up, aren't you? Over there on the land down under. Looks like sunrise over there. Oh, I was looking at the MacDill, that Air Force base. Let me tell you, the first time I sailed my own boat from, I was sailing actually from St. Pete up, Gulfport actually. I was sailing from Gulfport out and around into the bay and up to the Alafaya. And so I had to go right past the Air Force base. And I was looking at the restricted area. You can't sail up into there. Like, and they're serious, man. They're watching it hardcore. I was looking at the signs that say don't go into this restricted area, you know. So I was just tacking back and forth to get up to the river against the wind, and man, I pointed it out to my dad. He knew the signs were there. I handed him the tiller to go down and take a leak, and I came back up with a cold water and looked, and the signs weren't there, and I'm looking around for the signs. I took the tiller back from him and I start looking around, and I realize the signs are on the other side of me. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm inside the freaking, why did you go inside the signs? The fucking asshole turned me into the signs and then handed me the tiller just in time for me to get pulled over and get a freaking $270 ticket. And that fucking bastard wouldn't pay for it either. Man, it pissed me off. He freaking ran my boat into a bridge. And then he ran me up into the freaking restricted area of the base and got me a big, huge fine. He didn't pay for the repair of the boat or the ticket he got me. And I realized that my dad was pissed off that I had gone the sailing route, and he was trying to sabotage my whole thing just to say I told you so. And so I was like, you piece of shit, you're not welcome on my boat anymore. Like, yeah, I'm saying that civilians can't just sail up into there. Like, I don't have clearance. Those boats, like, sure, if, yeah, right. Yeah, well, I got tagged in that, and and I was like, I was sitting there talking to the freaking Coast Guard guy, or not the Coast Guard, the Navy dude, and I was like, I just took the tiller. I went down there. This dumbass had the tiller. Can't you give him the ticket? And he's like, well, you're the captain of the boat, and I got to give it to you. And I'm like, motherfucking, Like, and then he cussed my dad out because he recognized him, and he's like, I know you. You've been boating around here for years. You should know better. I'm like, yeah, give him the fucking ticket. Sorry, can't do that. Because I knew that fucker wasn't going to pay it. And he did it. I swear to God, he did it intentionally because we were just talking about it. I went down below for like 3 minutes. There's no way he could have just accidentally drifted over into there. And like we just discussed it. Fucking shithead, man. Total fucking shithead. Yeah, I mean, they weren't too rude about it, but the fine was hefty. It really set me back. I was not prepared. I brought him there to help me save trouble, not freaking get me into trouble, put a hole in my boat, and give me a freaking $300 fine to start the day. Like, damn. Yeah, but it just took me a while to realize that it wasn't accidental. Like, just the more I thought about it, the more I remembered the shit he was telling me before I even set out to get a boat to live on. He was telling me it was the dumbest idea I ever had and all this shit, trying to discourage it. And it's all because he wanted me to work for him and not get paid. Like he wanted me to do a bunch of work for his jobs and him get paid. He didn't want me to be on my own. He didn't want me taking care of myself and doing good. So wanted me under his thumb. What are dads for? He's a fucking selfish piece of shit is what he was. A total deadbeat my whole life until I come of age. Then he tried to use me, like a fucking workhorse. Now most dads try to like set you up for life and like hook you up, get you a car and can show you the business and give you a little boost in whatever business you're trying to get into. I had the opposite. Well, you know, I did backpacking across the country for years, and then I injured my back too bad to carry a. I couldn't carry enough gear to be self-sufficient anymore. You know, so I started camping, like van camping and shit like that, and I don't know, man. There's just too much trouble. Like, always getting messed with about where I could park and all that shit. Yeah, I'm not. I'm too old to freaking try to blame all my problems on my dad. I'm just saying, uh, I don't really consider him my dad. I tried, but he never really was a dad. He just kind of like was the dude that come and shot some sperm into my mom, and I was born, and then he left and spent the rest of his life pretending I didn't exist until he thought he could get some money out of me and some work out of me and freaking, you know, take advantage of me. And when shit didn't go his way, he tried to sabotage me, you know. Like, damn, he did worse too, but I'm not going to get into it. I can't stand the fucker. Do what? What? Sweet talk who at a bar? Oh no, he actually married her. I was his third kid. But that's the thing. He knocked her up 3 times actually, and then ditched her. Well, it was kind of like he couldn't keep his dick in his pants and wanted to fuck her best friend, and so that kind of broke that up. And when my mom wasn't down to have a 3-way lifestyle with him, he just went with her best friend, and they decided to start a whole new life without us. And then eventually he was getting sued for back child support by the state. Like, my mom wouldn't sue him, but the state would, because, you know, all the freaking welfare we were on. And so he suddenly showed up and decided, oh, I want you to live with us. And all of a sudden, you know, I was too young to realize what he was doing, is getting out of paying child support. I was like, yeah, I want to go live with dad. No, I didn't get my skills from him, actually. He didn't teach me jack shit. Like, I was only there long enough for him to get out of the court case and then sent me right back to my mom. Every time. That was the only time he was ever interested in being around me in my life, is when he was being sued for child support. And it just took me pretty much till adulthood to realize that every single time I've been around him, he was absolutely did not want to spend a minute with me. He didn't give a fuck to spend any time with me, was not interested in anything I had any interest in, wasn't trying to teach me anything. He was pretty much ignoring me, getting drunk and stupid and fucking around and sowing his wild oats. And yeah, but he deserved it, and so did she. They both deserved it, man. They both earned that. Oh, my dad taught me a good lesson. He taught me how to not slice your fingers open with a fishing knife when I was like 6. But he taught me by asking me to hand him the fishing knife and then snatching it out of my hand and slicing all 4 of my fingers to the bone. Like, that's the way he taught me a lesson. I was like, yep. Oh, shit. Like, razor sharp fishing knife. He knew he saw me holding it in a grip and snatched it out just to teach me the lesson that if I held it that way, it would cut me. Oh, okay. And what I learned was Dad don't mind slicing my shit open just to teach me a freaking lesson. Yeah, a fillet knife. Yeah, sliced all 4 of my fingers down to the bone. That's tough love, huh? Yeah, he's an asshole. Tell me about it. Oh, he's done way worse. It gets way worse. But yeah, I don't want to be like singing, no, Daddy wasn't there. I'm just trying to summarize, just kind of give people an idea that like I didn't come from no freaking, I got no trust fund, buddy. I learned what I learned because I got lucky and had some really good teachers along the way, and none of them were him. What he taught me was how to freaking, well, he did teach me how to avoid accountability. I wasn't quite as good at it as him, but he did teach me that after a while. Oh, yeah, he taught me how to freaking sound like I knew what I was talking about and not. A few things he taught me had me sounding really stupid believing them. Yeah, no, he was not a good teacher. He was pretty much a good bullshit artist. But yeah, at 53, it's time to be over such things. I'm like, I got way worse problems since then. It kind of had the opposite effect on me. I kind of wanted to have kids really bad just to prove that, like, just to kind of like, I know I could do better than that kind of thing, like I got to prove that this is how it should be, like how kids should be raised. I was like, I just vowed that I wasn't gonna do all the fucked up shit that my parents did that I thought was so wrong. And none of that ever came about the way I dreamed either, because yeah, I picked the wrong women. I tried twice and both times it didn't work, and I was like, fuck it, I'm not trying this again. It's too much bullshit. I've had some painful lessons in my life, but none of them like the baby's mama lesson. Hey, there's a... What's up, Dorcas? Well, I tried, but I'm pretty sure both my kids are pretty fucked in the head. But whatever. Can't blame it on me because I wasn't allowed to take part in either of their upbringing. Their moms made sure of that by freaking lying and deceiving. So that's what it is. Pretty much the best I can hope for is one day they freaking grow up and realize that mom's full of shit and dad's not, and you know, maybe it wouldn't hurt to go spend a day or two with him. But whatever. Whatever. That's kind of also why I'm making these videos, because one day my kids might realize that everything their mother ever said about me was bullshit, and they could come and watch these videos and see kind of who I really am, you know. And well, they might come to me eventually. I'm sure they probably will, but the thing is, I might not live long enough. You know, I got health issues. I don't know if my son will ever come to, or daughter will ever come to the realization that they ever want to spend any time with me. And if they ever do, I may not be around in this world by the time they do. So I'm kind of making a video journal. So if I'm not around, at least they got something to look at. No, I'm not here to prove anything to anyone. I just want to leave a little something in case I'm not alive when they figure out that they want to freaking meet me. And everything they've been told about me was bullshit. They might get curious to want to know, you know, who they came from. And, you know, like to give my side of things, because all they've heard is the other side. And I've heard the other side a little bit too, and what I heard of it was so much bullshit that I know they're not getting the truth. like you can't give them the truth and be justified in what they did. You know, like neither one of them could. It's some pretty fucked up shit that they pulled, both of them. But you know, that's because my pickers broke. That's what I realized is from both lessons, what I realized is that my pickers broke. So I got to stop picking women because that's stupid. You know, like I really love women, but my picker's broke and I can't trust it. So, fuck it. I'm not even trying to make a nest for a freaking woman to want to freaking come into. Because that shit hurts. Every fucking time. Well, that's the thing. I thought I was being picky. I really did. But, I mean, the first one just looked so, I don't know, man. Like, I'm kind of glad though. I realized, dude, no, like she was gorgeous when I met her. She was beautiful. And now she's a freaking flabby fat slob. And I'm like, oh man, good God. Actually, she started getting back in shape again, but yeah, man. The second one was way like, I don't know, she's doing a little better, I guess, but yeah. I met her, I fell in love with her boobs. They were huge. She had like F cups when I met her, before she got pregnant. I'm telling you, I was in this bar and them boobs walked in and I was in love. And then like a few seconds later, she walked in. And I don't know, man. Everything kind of went downhill a little bit from there. Yeah, that was my problem. Exactly. I see that too. But here's the problem, see? Here's the problem. I can't go after an ugly chick just cuz look, what's the point in being with someone that you're not attracted to? Like a lot of people sit there and think that that's being shallow, but I don't think so. I don't think it's shallow at all to want somebody that you're attracted to and expect her to like to where you're going to get along. And why can't you have a good relationship with an attractive person? I was an attractive dude. Like not so much anymore, but I was at one time, believe it or not. But yeah. I mean, let the horse face stay with the horse face and let the freaking good looking dude get with the good looking girl. There's nothing wrong with that. I just. No, you got to understand, especially the second one, they change. Like, they're not the same when you first get with them. Like, they're all sweet and lovey and like got all kinds of demands and promises, and they want you to be their one and only, and they're the ones that sit there going, you're the only one, like, I want you to be the only one, I don't want you with anyone else, and la la la, and and then they go crazy because they can't stick to their own rule. That's really what happens, is they demand loyalty and faithfulness and all this shit, and then they can't give it. And no, I could be friends with someone. I've been friends with lots of ugly people that I thought were hideous, but not mates. Like, I'm not gonna get it. Like, my wang ain't gonna get it. It's not gonna get stiff if I'm not turned on. You see what I'm getting at? Like, how am I gonna get it? How am I ever gonna freaking perform for a woman that I'm not attracted to? Think about it. Like, women might just slap some lube on and work past it somehow and like make some money, but guys can't just freaking boing for anybody. They have to be turned on. No, Susan. Why? No. Are you kidding? Them bitches caused enough psychosis in my life without getting married. If I got married, it would have been way worse. I mean, one already took over 10 grand from me. Like, that's the other thing. They just, like, give me a kid and all of a sudden I'm gone with your buddy and you owe me a fortune. And I'm going to ruin your life and smear your name and destroy everything about you. That's what women do. That's been my experience, is like, they fucking ruin me. Even the ones that are reaching out pretending to help me got a little slap in the back of the head with the freaking other hand as they're doing it. I can't even give a compliment without there being a backhanded insult attached to it. You know, it's like, man, fucking women expect too goddamn much from men these days and give way too little to the whole relationship. Like, and the ones that actually give in 50-50, they're already married, widowed, or like old. And man, look, here's another problem. I'm too freaking old and ugly now for the girls that I need to have. Like, the girls I'd be turned on by now are old and ugly too. Like, they're not into me. Like, the ones that are in my league don't turn me on. And so, yeah, like, what am I going to do? Have a fling with someone that's got daddy issues? How far is that going to go? I think I'm just done with the whole search for a freaking mate. I'd just be happy to find some freaking buddies to go cruising, to like make a flotilla and maybe create a Great Loop sailing community or something. I don't know. I'm not trying to freaking mate up. Yeah, I'm not trying to get mated up with anybody. I don't need it. Just not worth the hassle. I see what marriage has done for people. Okay, look, I'm not saying I'm not open to meeting Mrs. Perfect for me. I'm not saying that I'm not open to that. I'm saying I'm not looking for it. I really doubt it'll ever happen. Like, there could be some old lady in my age group that doesn't think I'm too repulsive, that I think is hot, that wants to shack up in a canoe with me and live in poverty off the grid. But, or maybe she's independently wealthy and wants to, like, hey Scott, build us the ultimate bug out boat and I'll pay for it. You know, and I'll be like, okay, let's do this. You know, like, sure, that could happen. But really, what are the odds? Come on, let's be realistic. Whoa. Realistically speaking, the odds are I could spend the rest of my days. I might find somebody, but if I do find that girl and everything's going great, why get married? Like, what would be the point? What, to get permission from God that I don't believe in? To do what we're already doing? Or is it to, like, just get the approval of the community? Or is it just to make a public statement? I never really understood what marriage was all about, because they don't, you know, like, the ring and the contract don't tend to keep anyone together. And it just either works or it doesn't. And it's like, why do we even fucking do it? We're just getting locked into this thing that, and then we resent each other for being in it. Like, that's what I see from people. They're, you know, I very, very seldom ever meet a couple that's happily married for 30 years. I mean, I've met couples that don't fight. And I'm saying I've met a few. I'm not saying I've never. I'm saying I rarely ever. The odds are really slim. Especially these days when everybody thinks that, like, I don't know, the roles we've got placed on men and women these days are so fucking twisted. It's just not even a reasonable contract. Yeah, you know, I mean, I had a couple grandparents that lived in, you know, they were together until they died. And I never heard them argue, and they seem to have a great relationship. I always saw them together. You know, I didn't see either one of them ever wandering. I don't know. Like, I didn't get into their... I never saw them fight. Never. But it's just a super rare thing. I'm not gonna... That's what I'm saying. I'm not claiming it doesn't happen. I'm just saying, looking where I am in life and how old I am and what are the fucking odds. You know, let's be realistic. I'll just be happy to keep sailing while I can and not freaking... I don't know, man. Let's have some more experience before life's over for me. I want to have a little more fun before it's over, because I might not have a lot more of it left. You know what gets me? Is women expecting men to pay for everything. Pick them up, open the door for them, and all that, man. And it's like, why should I have to pay for everything when I know goddamn well every woman I've ever been with, I was better in bed? I'm serious. I swear to God, if I laid there and did nothing, neither of us are getting off. But she could just work all she wants and neither of us are getting off until I get up and do some work. So what does that tell me? I'm better in bed than she is. Okay, and that's the experience I have every freaking time. So why am I paying for it? Shouldn't she be the one paying for that? Hey, Patrick. $400-mile winter. Why would it be 400? I'm thinking 200 miles. I mean, yeah, I guess we could do 400 miles this winter. 200 from here to Lithia Springs, and then another 200 just going around Tampa Bay exploring. Of course, we have to stop on Beer Can Island at some point. Oh, no, I'm not coming back here. No, why? I thought we were just, that's what I was saying, just put your truck at the destination. And then if all else fails, you just catch a bus back to the truck, you know. If you decided to give up along the way, whatever. You were talking about you could park it at MacDill for an extended period, right? Yeah, not for these vessels. There's not always Beer Can Island. These vessels can only make it to Beer Can Island on days when the weather's just right. They got to go early because it starts getting rough out there, especially on the weekend when all the crazy boaters are out there. But yeah, I've canoed to Beer Can Island from the Alafaya River a few times. I've also gone out from Bullfrog Creek out through the kitchen across where the old power plant used to be. I don't know if Tico's still got those big smokestacks over at Big Bend Power Plant or not. Do you know if Tico's still burning over there at the Big Bend Power Plant in Tampa? Because that's a good spot to go, or it was when I was there. It was a great spot to go see manatee, because you know they got in the winter they got those output pipes are always hot, and the manatee come up there, stay in the warm water. either way, once it gets cold, the manatee go up to the springs too. So there's ways to view them. Just have to be careful in the winter around those springs with the motor. You really just want to be. And I'll show you how I look out for them if you don't know. Like, you probably know, but they make a pretty distinctive swirl, and they're pretty hefty size. So for a boat like this, if they're not making a swirl, they're low enough to not hit my prop. I got a low pitch prop so they can hear it for miles. So there's also that. And they have a very distinctive, if they're up near the surface close enough to get hit by the prop, they leave a very distinctive looking swirl with their tail, and they're pretty easy to spot. If you're looking out, you can motor up to the springs and be fine without hitting any. But there's some pretty narrow areas going up there. It's pretty much like small john boats, kayaks and canoes are all that can get that far up there. And this little boat will do it. Yeah, no, you can't motor. That's what I'm saying. If you look at where Lithia Springs is, the main riverway is really close to it. So you can take a motorboat up to it and then take a canoe up into it. Even with the, you can't even take a trolling motor up into the springs. You know, it's really just swimmers and kayakers and canoes. But like I'm saying, you know, we can take, that's another reason not to bother putting a motor on the other boat. We just have one main ship and two canoes towing, or I'll be towing one and sailing this one. I'm kind of thinking another cool way we could do it is rig the canoe into a trimaran and then trade my canoe out, get a couple tandem sit on tops and just put them on my deck here instead of towing them behind. That way when I'm sailing, you and I can kind of sail along and keep up with each other and have both kayaks still ready to deploy whenever we want to get somewhere into skinnier waters or whatever. You know, it's easier than unrigging the canoe every time you get somewhere. You know, once that canoe gets outriggers on it, it's kind of awkward to try to paddle it up into some narrow areas and shit. But yeah, it's also pretty easy to make it where you can just look out with the canoe size like that. The sail's small enough to where you don't have to have all the, like, you don't need a bunch of blocks and pulleys and all the cleats and everything. You just have the sail attached to the boom, and when the boom drops down, it's at the right height. You grab the boom, fold it up against the mast, and twist the lines around it, and it's bunched up together. You just pull the mast out of the spot, the little hole it's in, and lay it down on the deck. But there's not really, with the outriggers, the Amas, it can be tricky to make them strong and still easily detachable. So I don't know. Plus, you end up getting a lot of weight and gear in your canoe, and you don't really want to detach the Amas. You just kind of want to anchor it out and take the kayak in. Or another way is like you can do, like, say Even even an inflatable paddleboard would be lighter, and they're still doable for dives and off reef type stuff. But yeah, I don't know how comfortable you feel on a stand-up paddleboard. But that's another way to have like two main ships going along sailing and a couple of deployable little ship to shores. I used to sit, I had a big one, it was over 11 feet long, but I used it like I didn't always stand up on it. I would sit and I'd bring a dang cooler and strap it down to it. I had a little small 6-pack cooler, and then I put a little seat pad on it, have a seat back. I kind of switched from sitting down and paddling like a kayak and standing up. Now, I knew a dude that spent like, what, 6,000 or something like that. Maybe 12,000. Fuck, I don't know. But he had this really badass Hobie kayak that had foot pedals that would propel you, and then had detachable outriggers and a sailing rig that just popped up on it. That was pretty quick, easy to deploy, but expensive rig. And they got a rig called Expandicraft that's meant to attach to kayaks or canoes, and just to be easy to attach outriggers, you can just order off the internet. And they even have these like aluminum walk pick planks, that decking that goes, like if you want to set up front and back outriggers or AMAs in the front and back, then you can put aluminum decking in between them. Man, I just ate that whole thing of mac and cheese, and I never even opened the chili. I was gonna do chili mac. Well, it looks like there's no gators showing herself before sunset tonight. I think they got drawn in last night by the smell of the cooking sausage. I don't want a bunch of moderators to keep track of. Oh, yeah, man, I'm not selling memberships. And besides, if any of the regulars, if anybody that's been sitting here regularly viewing and chatting with me every day, they're not going to be paying for a membership for some shit. Susan's one of the regulars. Yeah, I was going to have chili mac, but it ended up just being mac and cheese because I just freaking downed it without even thinking about opening the chili. I'm like, man, I got hungry. Yeah, well, if and when I ever do get eligible, I don't see that happening unless somebody joins me and we do some actual content video. Like, we do an episode of something, not just posting some random chats or look at this animal I saw or this dock I went past, this place I'm checking out. Here's this buddy traveling with me with his dog snoring, and yeah, that's kind of cool. I've got some good shots of some good animal shots and nature shots, but it's not really something somebody's going to sit and watch for an hour, Now, if someone gets over here with me and we're working together, we got time. There's going to be times where we posted up somewhere camping on an island and like nothing to do but like, hey, let's show how to make this emergency water maker. It only take maybe 20-30 minutes to build one, but to like do the step-by-step instructions on how it works and all the ins and outs of it, and that could be an hour-long video. Yeah, well, two people can do. The other thing is, when we're sailing, what we can we can do a thing where, okay, you could take video of me sailing my boat from a third person point of view as you're sailing alongside. See, that's one thing I don't get, is any video of me sailing by, like from another point of view. You see me on the boat looking out from the boat. But how do I get a third person point of view on my live feed showing me sailing past an area? Well, I get a partner, that's how. And who's going to sit there and hold the camera while I'm catching a fish? To make sure that I don't dump my phone in the water while I'm trying to, like, there's so much better view that you're going to get when I'm not sitting there trying to manage the fish and a rod and bait and the phone, holding the phone between my knees, skinning a flopping fish. Yeah, well, whoever joins me for photography has to be rugged enough to be like canoe camping, like spending a night out in here in the rain, sometimes weeks at a time, like at least days. Not so much with the motor, it's more like days at a time, not going to town or anywhere, or it might be several days between towns. And you don't just go to another town and you're there. You got to go there, find a place that's safe to anchor the boat and leave it while you go, and it has to be close enough to access to get whatever supplies or fuel store you need. Like, all that has to be in the same area, and it can be very difficult to figure out, okay, where can we stop along the way to resupply? Having a partner helps in that respect a lot, because somebody's always there to watch the boats while somebody else goes to get the supplies. And it leaves you open an option to be able to leave the boat in much more public areas that are easier to access the shore and not worry about it, like getting a ticket or stolen. Because you can drop someone off at the dock and then pull off the dock, even though the dock says 15-minute loading and unloading only. You see? And then you just wait right at the corner off the dock at anchor. And when your buddy comes back with the supplies, you pull back up to the dock. And you just skip all that drama. Like a lot of times I've been by myself, I pull up and there's nowhere to go to shore near any supplies where you're allowed to leave your boat. And I've many times kind of break the rules on that 15-minute limit. What I do is wait till like a weekday, go up there when there's nobody there early as I can, tie off, and then just hoof it to the store and back as fast as I can. And yeah, I might be 2 hours where it said 15-minute limit. Alright, folks. I think that's about all the excitement we're going to have for the day. Just another chit chat. I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. And I will see y'all next time. Alright, good. Thanks for joining, everyone.